The cargo bay of the Stellar Wanderer hummed with the rhythmic pulse of quantum engines, a sound Eliam had grown accustomed to during his 3 years aboard the intergalactic freight vessel. He stood near the observation window, pretending to inspect the manifest on his datapad, but his eyes kept drifting toward the far corner where Rose worked. Rose wasn't human. That much was obvious from her luminescent blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the ship's artificial lighting, and the delicate crystalline patterns that traced along her temples like frozen rivers. She belonged to the Xylari, a species known throughout the galaxy for their mathematical precision and emotional restraint. Her people had joined the Galactic Coalition only 2 decades ago, and encounters between humans and Xylari were still relatively rare. She moved with an efficiency that Eliam found mesmerizing, her 4-fingered hands dancing across holographic interfaces as she cataloged supplies with mechanical perfection. Her silver hair, which defied human understanding of biology by floating slightly as if underwater, caught the light in ways that made Eliam forget to breathe. "Eliam," called Captain Morrison from the bridgecom, "you done with that inventory yet? We're approaching the Nexus station in 4 hours." He jumped, nearly dropping his datapad. "Almost finished, Captain." Rose's head turned slightly, and though her face remained impassive, as Xylari faces always were, he could have sworn he saw the faintest flicker of amusement in her violet eyes. This had been his routine for the past 6 months since Rose had joined the crew. He would find excuses to be near her, to work the same shifts, to linger in the mess hall when she took her meals. He told himself it was curiosity, a natural human interest in understanding an alien culture. But deep down he knew it was something more troubling, something that kept him awake during his sleep cycles. The other crew members had noticed, of course. Chen, the ship's engineer, had teased him mercilessly about his alien crush, while Dr. Yusuf, their medical officer, had given him a concerned lecture about cross-species compatibility and the complications of interspecies relationships. But none of that stopped Eliam's eyes from finding Rose in every room, tracking her movements like she was the only source of gravity in the void of space. 3 days after their stop at the Nexus station, everything changed. The ship had taken on new cargo and was headed toward the frontier colonies when a systems malfunction trapped Eliam and Rose in the lower storage bay. The door had sealed due to a pressure sensor error, and while the ship's AI worked to resolve the issue, they were stuck together in the cramped space filled with supply crates and the soft red glow of emergency lighting. Eliam sat on a container, trying to appear calm while his heart hammered against his ribs. Rose stood near the sealed door, her hand pressed against a diagnostic panel, reading data that scrolled across the display in Xylari script. "The AI estimates 30 minutes before the override completes," she said, her voice carrying that melodic quality that all Xylari possessed, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Right, 30 minutes." Eliam nodded, gripping his knees. Silence settled between them, broken only by the distant thrum of the engines. Eliam's eyes traced the curve of Rose's shoulder, the elegant line of her neck, the way the crystalline patterns on her skin pulsed with a faint inner light that he had learned indicated active thought processes among her people. "Why are your eyes always on me, human?" The question struck him like a physical blow. Rose had turned to face him fully, her violet eyes meeting his with an intensity that made his breath catch. Her expression remained neutral, but there was something in her posture, a tension in her shoulders, a slight tilt of her head, that suggested the question was more than casual curiosity. Eliam's mouth opened, but no words came out. His mind raced through a dozen possible responses, each one seeming more inadequate than the last. How could he explain the inexplicable? How could he put into words the way she had become the center of his universe without sounding like a fool or, worse, some kind of interspecies predator? He started, then stopped. His hands clenched and unclenched. "I don't mean to make you uncomfortable." "I did not say I was uncomfortable." Rose took a step toward him, her head tilting in that distinctly Xylari way that indicated puzzlement. "I asked why. Your species fascinates me, Eliam. You are so chaotic, emotional, unpredictable. My people study patterns and logic, but humans are equations that refuse to solve." She moved closer, and Eliam could see the tiny details he'd only glimpsed from a distance. The way her crystalline markings branched into fractals near her hairline, the slight variation in the blue of her skin from cerulean to azure, You watch me during every shift, she continued. You alter your meal schedule to match mine. You volunteer for tasks in sections where I'm assigned. The human crew members find it amusing, but I find it confusing. In Xylari culture, such attention indicates either threat assessment or mate selection. You are not evaluating me as a threat. Ilium felt heat flooding his face. Humans blushed, another thing that made them unpredictable to more stoic species. My people don't understand it either, he finally said, the words tumbling out in a rush. But humans, we're drawn to things, to beauty, to mystery, to anything that makes us feel alive. And you... He looked up at her, abandoning pretense. You're like nothing I've ever encountered. The way you think, the way you move, the way you solve problems that would take me hours and seconds. It's not just that you're different. It's that you're extraordinary. Rose stood perfectly still, processing his words with that characteristic Xylari pause. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, more careful. Extraordinary, she repeated as if testing the word. In Xylari, we have a concept, threnail. It means pattern that defies expected calculation. It is considered desirable, worthy of extended study. She paused, and the crystalline patterns on her temples pulsed faster. You are threnail to me, Ilium. Your species is threnail. I watch you as well, though perhaps you have not noticed. I observe how you find creative solutions where logic suggests none exist, how you make decisions based on factors my people would never consider. Ilium stood slowly, his heart racing. Are you saying? I am saying that perhaps this confusion is mutual, Rose said, and that I would like to understand it better. If you would help me. The door panel beeped, signaling that the override would complete in 60 seconds. 60 seconds that suddenly felt far too short. Ilium smiled, and for the first time, Rose's lips curved upward in an expression that wasn't quite a smile by human standards, but meant the same thing in the universal language of connection. I think, Ilium said, that's something we can figure out together. The door hissed open, but neither of them moved immediately. In the cargo bay of a freight ship hurtling through the cosmos, two beings from different worlds had found something that transcended species, culture, and the vast distances between stars. The simple, complicated truth that understanding begins with curiosity, and sometimes curiosity begins with a look. Outside the viewport, stars streamed past in rivers of light, indifferent and eternal, but inside something new had begun, as unexpected and wonderful as humanity itself.